Hi, welcome. We're coming from a new location. Thank you to the Loft Ensemble. I'm Duke Pierce.
And I'm Oliver Boone.
Let's go to the movie.
Yes, Fabrizio anyway.
Once again, Fabrizio. How are you, sir?
Guys. I'm exhausted.
I
can
bet.
tell.
Yeah?
I can tell, yeah. You're...
So glad to have you back.
Thanks.
Once again, talking about a legendary movie
Yeah.
with a legendary actor.
I know.
Are we going to review Al Pacino's whole catalog with you on the show?
I haven't seen all of Al Pacino, and to be honest, he did a lot of crappy movies too.
He has done a lot of crappy movies,
So-
but you've seen a lot of the important ones, right?
I guess. Yeah.
I remember the first time I watched Serpico, I was coming back to the school, and it was literally the day after I watched it, and you came strutting down, and you were wearing like some shaggy clothes, and you got your beard, and I'm like, wait, it's when it's Serpico walking on my school campus.
Yeah. I had to watch it after Ollie kept pushing it. I was like, dude, you look like Serpico.
Yeah, he does.
And
It's
there
your
is that
podcast.
there's a one shot where I'm like, I was scared of myself for a moment.
You
I was
time
like,
traveler.
this is...
But you do, and you even remind me of him in this movie too. But I said that, and we haven't said what movie we're doing. What movie is it? We're doing Sin of a Woman.
Yes.
One of your favorites.
Yep.
One of my favorites.
I like it. It's a good movie.
I grew up with this movie, which is a little weird because it's kind of rough. But I wasn't too young when I saw it, but my dad and I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good father-son movie. I
can
feel.
see that.
It's very.
Yeah.
I think a lot of young boys should watch it. Because it is a coming of age story.
It's
in a
pretty
lot of
heavy
ways.
as
Yeah.
well, though.
Right. Well, I don't mean young. I'm talking about like 14, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. You know,
That's
it's
good.
heavy, but it's a good like father and son bonding movie, I think. But initial thoughts. What are your initial thoughts on it?
So I've seen the movie a couple times now, and when I first watched it, I didn't think as much of it. I don't know. I found myself connecting to it a lot more. I realized how much, in some ways, Al Pacino is just like he is just full force in this movie, like a master of his craft. And I love the process that he went through. Like he actually went to like a blind person institute, and just that tango scene alone is just legendary.
Absolutely.
It really gets you in the feels. It's
Mhm.
it's a very emotional movie.
Yeah.
Well, and absolutely, and it's Al Pacino's just having fun being an actor the entire time. He's just enjoying the process of being an actor and really relishing being in this part. What are your initial thoughts?
I don't know. I've never looked at it from the perspective of how much fun he had doing it or as an actor. But I mean, yeah, I do think that it's a movie that you appreciate much more if you know the craft, both filmmaking and acting, I think. Because filmmaking, it's very, very simple. You know, it's just an amazing script, of course. I don't know if it's as much coming out of age as it is like just about when you don't fit into society, you know,
Right.
because both don't fit.
Yeah, they're outcasts.
But that is part of coming of age. That is, you know,
Right,
you watch,
yeah,
there's
for
very
him.
similar like to Dead Poet Society,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that one has a little bit more tragic ending than this one.
Yeah.
But there is that allowing a young person to get into
Right,
their own,
right.
you know, and I
Yeah.
think it's interesting. What makes this movie interesting is that what helps this young person come into their own is a retired lieutenant colonel that's blind.
Yeah,
I love how they both sort of save each other.
Absolutely.
they do. Yeah, no doubt.
It's directed by Martin Brest, who didn't really have a lot of history or experience doing heavy dramas. He did Midnight Run with Robert De Niro, and Beverly Hills Cop with
Yep.
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Both movies are enjoyable,
Very
but it's
different.
very different from.
Very different.
And
Son
then
of a Woman.
then he had, was it Gigli? Oh,
That's
Gigi?
the one where one of your favorite Al Pacino quotes comes from.
Which one?
I know my fucking name.
That I think that's his last feature film.
Yeah.
I don't think he had any after that.
No, it's pretty critically bombed.
Yeah. Which is a shame because he can do good movies.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Fabrizio, if you've ever seen the original Italian film from the 70s.
No, and I've never even read the book, so
Oh, it's a book as well?
it's based on the book.
I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. Yeah. I wonder how much it changed. I wonder how much it varies.
Why don't you do some research on that and come back to us?
I don't know. You have watchers here, right? Maybe some of them.
Good.
I've seen it. You can write in the comments.
Let us know in the
if
comments
you-
below.
So
Yeah.
we hit on direction a little bit, and one of your big things as a filmmaker is you love simple stories,
Yeah.
and you love them told simply.
Well, yeah, because I don't have the budget for crazy action movies. So, it's like that magic triangle. What do you want to have? Do you want to have amazing shots, amazing actors, and an amazing script? You can only have two. So I gladly say goodbye to the amazing shots and have just a great performance and a great story, And Scent of a Woman is exactly like that.
Right. One of the things I'm really kind of awed about it is that how much it does say without words in a lot of scenes, and also it's 2.5 hours long.
I know.
But it
Pretty long.
doesn't feel like it.
No, once it picks, no, because you're so invested in it. I think.
Which is, but that's hard to do for a drama, especially like a heavy drama. It's hard to kind of keep an engagement in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I just think that the way that the exposition in that movie is so amazing. It's astonishing because the way the characters are set up, you immediately empathize with Chris O'Donnell's character, right? He's an outsider. He doesn't belong there. He does belong there as a school, but not in that circle of people. And then you see him, God, what's his name?
Slade, yeah.
Frank Slade,
Yeah.
the character, yeah. And you know how they set the mood up with the little girl making fun of this old man.
Mm-hmm.
You immediately feel for this old man, no matter how nasty he is. You feel for him,
I feel like I warm up to him a little later on. It's like,
oh really?
Well,
yeah,
I
feel for Chris
I
O'Donnell's
think it's
character.
a little bit of a roller coaster because I think when you hear about him and you haven't met him yet,
Right.
you do feel a little bit of a like, oh, he's a war hero and he's blind. He's feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
But then you meet him, and the way you meet him, his first line, you don't see him.
Yeah.
It comes from the ether.
Yeah.
It's Chris in the doorway, and you just hear him bark.
Yeah.
But one of the really telling moments, I think, when I start sympathizing with him, is that when they're getting out of the taxi to go to the airport initially to go to New York, and Chris O'Donnell's character tries to touch him, and he goes, "Don't touch me, I touch you." And then Chris O'Donnell goes, "I'm sorry," but then he goes, "Why should you be sorry? You don't know."
Mm-hmm.
So the way I kind of see that is that he is mean, but he's not so much a jackass. He's just used to barking orders.
Yeah.
And that's how he gets across to people. That's how he's done it his whole life.
And he is an idealist.
Oh,
Is that the
absolutely.
word?
Yeah, that is a word.
I mean, he's a
Yeah.
romantic.
Yeah. So you know exactly that the things are the way he's used to, and that's why when I see that little girl making fun of him, he got me there. I'm like, also because he's very sarcastic in his way, and that's absolutely my type.
Right.
So
He's hilarious in this movie.
He is.
Well,
He's
got
quite
some really great
he's-
moments.
quite funny. But I want to move on to the screenplay then.
Okay.
I think this screenplay is hilarious, and I think Pacino delivers it brilliantly. But the screenplay is definitely carrying a lot of the work for him.
yeah.
And there's just some of the most iconic lines.
Mm-hmm.
When in doubt,
Yeah, I know.
fuck. It's crass and it's gross, but it's hilarious.
Do you want to do your hoo-ha, Fabrizio?
Hoo-ha.
Wow. That's
Hoo-ha.
and this is probably the most quoted movie from my dad. My dad loves this movie. I mean, he'll quote just all the time, like in just everyday stuff. It's like, I'm in the amazing business. But the story is also just touching. You know,
Yeah, it is.
In a lot of ways. And, dude, what do you think of the screenplay?
I think you have a very intelligent cast behind this play. You know, you're supporting like actors like Philip Seymour Hoffman and Bradley Whitford, who I've been watching The West Wing lately. So I finally got to. He plays Colonel Slade's son, and just that dialogue between them in that dinner scene is just incredible. Like I'd love to watch that in like a scene study class or something, because it's just so like I sympathize for both of them in that instance, and just like they like that. Just seeing like that father-son relationship, and it's just so complicated. And every relationship, like with father-son, can be complicated. But just watching it between them is just heartbreaking.
Right, and how that bond between Frank and Charlie is father and son, and I think a lot of it is that Frank feels he's abandoned his family, and now he's trying to make up to it through Charlie.
You think so?
I think, somewhat, but you know, I'm going to contradict myself right here. Why is he so mean to his family then?
He's not mean. He reminds me a lot of my grandfather, and I've never really met him because he got sick when I was 6 years old, and he died when I was 11. So all I remember from him was him either in a wheelchair than just, you know, on a deathbed. But the thing about these type of people is that he wasn't in the military, Frank, right? Yeah. And these are people that never needed any help. These are people that built whatever they had by themselves without anyone helping them out, without asking for help, a lot of pride in it, you know? And when you get to a moment where you realize that you almost can't be by yourself anymore, that's when you start losing your life. That's why he wants to kill himself.
And I don't think
so clear,
his family understands that. And I think that's what creates the animosity.
But he has also too much pride to explain what's going on and to accept that he now needs help.
Well, I also think, like, I can imagine, like, beforehand, he was also, like, he just did not have a great relationship with his family before the accident, before he was...
Well, yeah, and they mentioned it at the dinner table, right? Like, Frank has never just been part of the family. No, exactly. Not really, you know.
Yeah.
Right, and that when he's leaving, and that he looks at his brother and says, I'm bad, and I've never been good at whatever the line is, and just the look they changed is, you know, has so much life behind that moment. And it's one of the things that makes Al Pacino. Is we were editing one time, it was for our Irishman episode, and we were looking through clips. We just looked at Al Pacino and the Robert De Niro scene.
Yeah.
Just all of the thoughts that Al Pacino bounces through. That's what makes it great. And this experience in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So one of the things I really like about this screenplay is that you learn where the characters are at through their dialogue without them telling you. So,
say that again?
So you learn about the characters through the dialogue without them telling you. So if you listen...
Well, yeah.
So it's like you learn that Frank's depressed through certain lines without him going, I'm depressed. You know, so one of my favorite lines, which is actually really funny, but the way it's shot, you're supposed to feel unsettled, is when they get into the hotel at New York, and he's like, I went wall-to-wall with John Daniels. He goes, do you mean Jack Daniels? You know him as long as I have. Also one of my dad's most quoted lines. But if you watch it, there's a reaction shot of Charlie, and he's not laughing. But then it cuts back to Pacino, and he goes, it's a joke. And that's when you see Charlie is worried about his depressive drinking.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, to me, it's having fun with dialogue, but making it deeper than what the surface level is.
Yeah.
And I think that's why...
I mean, that's like the golden rule of filmmaking: show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm. But it's also telling through lines.
It's telling something else.
Right. It's saying one thing but really meaning something else, or saying it in a way, and then the meaning is in the words. And the screenplay was written by Goldman, who also wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Really?
The screenplay, for that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think of the cinematography? Because I think it looks simple, but I think it's more complex than initially. Because I noticed something watching it last night.
No, I think the most trouble they might have had was probably the beginning shot when Charlie meets Frank, because of the smoke, the way the light comes through.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very specific look. I think that was quite difficult to film, but
It's very fitting.
for the rest, I'm not too worried. And the hotel room, maybe, because it might be a little tight if it was an actual hotel room. So.
Honestly, the cinematography doesn't strike out too much to me. But besides, one of my just favorite shots in the whole film is, I think it's like when they're walking through the city for like the first time with that incredible music score.
Oh, the score is incredible.
Yeah. And they're like walking towards.
Yeah, I want to get back to it in just a second, but the movie gets lighter. It starts very dark at the beginning.
Yeah.
And through most of New York, it's pretty drab. But when he gets back to the school, things start to get lighter. Yeah. And by the end of it, the sun's out.
That's a smart choice.
Yeah. It's very subtle, and I haven't noticed it before watching it, but watching it last night, I found that. But my first note when I was taking notes watching it was how incredible the music is. Yeah. And it just immediately at the beginning, it sets the tone. It's got a dramatic structure, but it also has a wonderful sense of melancholy to it. Mm-hmm. That really strikes the tone. And
I'm generally not a big music type, so I might not pay enough attention to it, because there's so much going on and because I didn't grow up very musical or with a lot of music around, so my ears are just not used to pay a lot of attention to the music,
But I don't think you have to understand music to
No.
How it makes you feel.
Absolutely, no. I think it works fine, but it's rarely where I watch a movie and the music completely catches me. I'm not,
I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps me feeling something or understand, but it never wraps me around.
Well, the score was composed by Thomas Newman, who I can't even. You look at his IMDb and it's a mile long.
Give me some of his top ones.
Oh, you're gonna make me look it up?
Yeah, why not? Oh, you've got a laptop in front of you.
I know. But one of the things that's really cool is if you notice when Frank comes out of the hotel into the limo after he's met with the escort, the tango music plays ever so slightly underneath it, and it's like the end of the tango. So it's almost like the two scenes are one, and that's the end of it. It's brilliant. He worked on Skyfall. He worked on 1917.
Interesting. Okay.
Let's see here. The Help, American Beauty. That's just the music department. Let's see. What did he compose?
I do find with the music that especially the one when I'm talking about when they're in the city, there's this very kind of sweeping and it's like they're about to go on a huge adventure.
Yeah, it makes it, and this film has elements of it being an adventure film, and I think that's where because I think he directed Midnight Run right before this, so it kind of shares some similar buddy film vibes to it.
And I think it is a buddy film.
It is in some way. It is a buddy film, and because they're going on this adventure,
and they affect each other by the end of it.
Absolutely, and at the end of it, I always wonder if they're ever going to see each other again, because it has a feeling. And have you seen Stand By Me?
Yes.
Have you seen Stand By Me?
No.
Well, at the end of Stand By Me, you know that feeling when the voiceover narration tells you it's like they never really talk again. And that film really does a good job of creating that, like, they met at this point in their life and they shared something special, but their life could never be anything outside of that. And that movie kind of has that feel to me.
I can see that.
Once they break up, that was their that was their interaction, and they'll never have anything that surpasses that. So they probably never really.
I mean, especially from Chris O'Donnell's character Charlie, just like this is like a moment in life that just changes his path.
It feels like they're
And
saying
builds
goodbye
it.
at the end.
Yeah. I hate to think about what happens to the Colonel Slade after this then.
Well, what's so nice about the ending is that he walks off with the children.
Yeah.
His
And don't
grandchildren.
forget he has a date.
Oh yeah, he has a date.
Yes, he
Well,
does.
Speaking,
I was so relieved that they gave that little thing back.
Yeah.
Because that was the one thing that he was missing in his life as well, you know? Was actually a woman that he...
so I was gonna ask, do y'all think? And I know you're a romantic too, so you probably don't think this at all. But do you think it's pushed? Do you think it's a little bit too much to have her
She shows
chase?
up at the end and says, hey...
It is a little
I
bit
think
cinematic.
this is a classic. I think this is a classic movie. Very like almost a Hollywood movie. Like it's romantic. Like it's great. I think it's great that they end up together at the end.
Right.
That's the
I do
type
too.
of movie
And I
it is.
think it works. And the way they make her a political science teacher, it's like I think they make it work in the screenplay. Like it's not forced or contrived or anything, but it is very much romantic.
I don't think they make movies like this necessarily anymore. I know that even that's become a cliche. That's a good
But
point.
it's also,
it's hard to do.
unfortunately, I think it's the audience, you know? We're nowadays surrounded by... Who watches movies nowadays? We have, first of all, everything is streaming, right? It's a big market is streaming. Most of the people that are streaming are people our age, but not people that are so passionate about filmmaking. People that want to watch the Avengers and want to feel cool by thinking they can be the next Spider-Man. You know?
Right, and
Nothing
That's
against...
pretty sweeping against the whole demographic.
yeah, and I'm not
I don't know if
full
I
on
get
Martin
that far.
Scorsese with Marvel. I think some of the
Yeah.
Marvel's movies are good.
They're good. I'm not
Right.
saying they're bad because they're done beautifully. They're
But-
great. They are a story.
It's oversaturated.
It's
just
and they
come on, go back to write me a simple story about three people.
simple
and
story,
Bob.
but it's I think the themes of this movie aren't as prevalent anymore. In film, it's not integrity that is a huge theme out throughout this movie, and I don't think we see it as much, and it's not as important to this generation, at least in the way it's shown in this movie.
Right, that's the thing, exactly right. It's not as important as it should be because it's still a big deal.
Mhm.
You still have veterans coming back from all over the place with problems, PTSD, and all these things, injuries from war or whatever happened. And nowadays we don't talk that
Well,
much
and it's a
about it.
little bit. I this is weird because I just thought about this, but this movie's a little bit meta for this time, I think, because Charlie he's just an average person who doesn't really think about these deeper subjects, but going on this journey with Frank, like he's a little bit of a nerd and he probably just likes reading his books, but he doesn't really expand beyond what he is. At least what I
But he
think.
has no reason to expand. He's surrounded
Absolutely.
by rich kids.
Mhm.
He can't expand surrounded by them.
Yeah, I'd say kind of like his bully, like the other students. I'd say are kind of more along the lines of what you're talking about. I don't know. With Charlie, he's kind of like he's making his own way. I really appreciated his character.
Right, but I don't know if he has a sense of... Well, obviously, no, he doesn't have a sense of who he is and what he wants to do. I think he just knows he wants to not be stuck in some little town in Oregon,
Right.
but he wants to make something of himself. But I get this feeling that he doesn't know what he wants to do, and he doesn't know... He's just kind of bumbling his way through with a goal in mind. And this meeting with Frank really solidifies his character. Because Frank pushes Charlie to be this rat, to not have his integrity that he naturally seems to have. So, I mean, he goes, there are two kinds of people in this world: those who stand up and face the music, and those who run for cover. Cover's better.
Mm-hmm.
And then he he's
Solid Pacino.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great job.
But he says, I Welsh. I'm a Welcher. I told you. And he even says, I'm going to kill you because I can't stand the thought of you selling out.
Yeah.
So he obviously has hope in Charlie, and he wants Charlie to be this great person, to have integrity. But he's gonna push him.
Why?
Push him, because I think he sees it in him, or he sees hope in him.
I think he might want to kind of make up for like his failures as a father previously,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's almost kind of like a second chance.
Absolutely.
Possibly.
But he's looking for a purpose in life.
Mm.
Oh yeah, they're
You know?
both so lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he realizes that Charlie cares so much, it kind of gives him the purpose to help
Yeah,
him
it
out.
ignites something in him.
Yeah.
My
see something
my
in-
personal favorite line from the film is when Charlie brings back the tango line.
Right. Yeah, I took a
Earlier
note of that
in
too.
that
It's
most dramatic
when
scene.
they're in, he's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, like the thing about the thing about tango is, you know, you
It's no mistakes in the tango. That's what makes the tango so great. If you make a mistake, you get all tangled up, just tango on. And then
tango up, you tango on.
and then when they're in that moment, he's crying. He's just, when you get tangled, you just tango on. Yeah, it's one of my favorite moments too. And you know what Al Pacino had to do to get Chris O'Donnell that worked out?
No.
He had to scream at him off camera. He just had to hound him and hound him and hound him until I guess they just rolled.
It's probably my favorite role of Chris O'Donnell. I mean, I see him on NCIS.
What do you mean,
and
Batman
all.
and Robin's not?
Batman and Robin is not my favorite Chris O'Donnell
Really?
role. But then
I think
again,
he was pretty good.
in
It's
Sentinel.
funny, I was watching
Batman
it
and
one
Robin?
night, and my roommate comes home, and then he finished watching it. He came in about the Ferrari scene, so towards the end, right? And then he sat down. He just came from work, so he didn't know. So what were we watching? I was like, movie, I know. We didn't talk. I was very invested. And then at the end, you see the credits. It's like, that was Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you say Dead Poet Society because I very much see like he would fit right into those type of like prep school kids.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of the thing in the early '90s, late '80s to mid '90s was the prep school movie. You know, you had a lot come out around that time.
After Dead Poet Society, I bet, because that was a huge success.
Right. So, what's your favorite scene? Because there's some.
I'm in the dog here. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's good. What about you? What's your?
Great job.
Well, why do you what draws you to that scene? Why do you love it so much? Other than the sheer acting ability that is.
Or just quoting the line, shouting the line out.
That too.
That's.
But I think it's such a cathartic.
Cathartic?
I'm in the dark here.
Cantartic.
No, not
Antarctic.
Cathartic.
Cathartic. Yeah.
Cathartic.
Yeah.
That's it.
Great
Cathartic. Such a cathartic moment in the movie because he was planning to kill himself all this time.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the last moment, and both characters are so exhausted. The journey has been long and painful for Frank, and Chris tries with his last, it's his last attempt. It's just like, it's the sinking moment of the Titanic. It's like everything and nothing, like it's right there, and the acting just makes it so unbelievable.
Why do you think Charlie fights so hard to keep Frank alive?
Because Charlie's character he cares about people. He is a very loving person. First of all. Second of all, I think he's scared as shit of having to see somebody die. Yeah. Because the way he reacts when the first time he sees a gun, he does something that no normal human being would do. Like, I would run out of there, probably. Or I don't know. I'll be like, what's going on? But he's like kind of calm and like, it's like super weird, the whole situation. And how he asked him for like the bullets and stuff.
I think he's incredible. I think Charlie's incredibly intelligent, though.
Yeah,
I think he's thinking what's the best way to
right,
diffuse
But he's
the
kind of
situation.
rational, right?
He's
Yes,
kind of one of those
incredibly.
people who probably will never let himself believe that he's that intelligent.
I don't think he considers is less that he considers himself intelligent, but I think he is like because he's very rational and calm. He's like if I react more, it's like it's gonna cause even more trouble.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's in the screenplay is very smart in the way it handles its characters and their circumstances. What is your favorite scene?
I think it's the sign of a great movie when you're struggling to decide, because there are a couple that really.
The scene work in this movie is really good.
Mhm.
It is.
My personal favorite, though, it's not even the most important. It's the car. It's like the car dealership. I love this car dealer character, and
He's
how
good.
he's
He's good. Yeah.
It reminds me of my dad in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like the cheek. Like, it takes a little bit of time, but yeah, you get like the cheekiness out of him, because the car dealer, he's quite dry at the beginning, and then Al Pacino kind of like
Warms him
works
up.
with him, and then he's suddenly like, yeah, like ask around. I'm like the talk of the town.
Well, that's what. And Frank has this. He walks into a room and everybody looks at him. He draws the attention to himself.
Very charming.
He is extremely charming. He's
Very
really
charming.
nice. He's really, and he sits when he's in public and he's trying to meet new people. He's very outgoing. He's very nice to them, which is even stronger when you notice how much he treats how badly he treats
He's
his
a
family.
complex, layered.
Yeah.
human
So,
being.
but that's by the end of it, he's warmed him up, and he's got, and it's his line at the end of that scene is, "I'm a great ghost too."
Yeah.
And it just every scene kind of has something like that where it just ends on just the right note.
In some ways, he kind of like, I just thought about this. He kind of like works. I think he's testing Charlie throughout,
Mhm.
kind of the same way like
Yeah.
he's kind of working with this like car dealer.
Right.
And I think maybe that's why they have the scene like thematically for the story
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, because I think at least at the beginning for sure, like Colonel Sliggs, he's trying to suss out who Charlie is.
Yeah.
And he knows like this is like he knows like how he's intimidating this like kid. And he wants to
Absolutely.
know who he really is, and not just the front of like a sense of authority that Charlie
Right.
sees in him. He wants to know the real Charlie.
I have a hard time deciding what is my favorite scene. I've thought about it a lot.
Yeah, right.
But it is between probably the plane, when they're on the plane,
Mhm.
and how he kind of describes a woman. It's crass, but you never get the feeling that it's I don't want to say it's not misogynistic, because there are certainly misogynistic tones to it, but that's not his goal. That's not his meaning behind it. His meaning is that he finds women the greatest creation of God.
Of course.
And he's romantic in, but that's just in his way. That's how he describes.
Well, he also can't see a woman
Right.
anymore, so he does all his time thinking about it, and like he's, I guess he, that must be so tough for somebody that's blind to like not being able to see something that like makes you so passionate.
When how he feels emotions now, like
Yes.
he goes, "Car's heavy." Every time he feels he feels the weight, and he even talks about this, how I feel the weight on your shoulders.
The senses
Okay.
increase.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
it says that cars have.
Yeah.
Right. But it's between that and just the end, when he's in the school, just giving his.
The courtroom either, yeah.
It's it. But
Wow.
so yeah, let's talk about the tango scene before we get there. What do you think makes this scene so special? What makes this scene work? What can you pinpoint or you what?
Look, keep trying with me.
You can both
Okay.
do it. This is an open forum discussion.
I'm grateful.
Well, is something coming or?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, that's what she said.
It's just so romantic. I imagine maybe even Colonel Slade's kind of
That's it. Always
what's-
thinking for 2 words like this.
Intelligence, of which you have none.
I was speaking.
Oh my god, we're gonna have a fisticuffs here in a minute.
No, it's fine. We got the distance. That's why we're so far apart.
No, go
That's
ahead.
right.
No.
I
Okay.
think
It's romantic.
Colonel Slade, in a sense, is kind of doing what Charlie wishes he could do. I don't think Charlie knows how to speak to women.
Yeah.
And so Colonel Slade I think he's kind of doing this for Charlie, in a sense, and for himself in some ways. but just like, he's just so smooth, and it's just like, and he knows, like, he must have done this 1,000 times. You know, he can do this with his eyes closed, or blind, literally.
Yeah.
And I just love the way the way Charlie describes like the setup of the room. I'm like, if I was given that job, I could never do that 100 times. I'm blown away.
That's my first thought when I think I was like, I can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I know Charlie's an intelligent guy. I'm just like, I cannot give that like level
That's
of direction.
specificity
Yeah.
and that
Wow.
quickly. What makes a tango scene special for you?
I think two things. I think the first is that technically it has nothing to do with their journey.
Mm-hmm.
But what's so great about it is that I think how the writers and the director play with the anticipation of the audience. Because, first of all, you have no idea what's happening. And then this girl shows up, right? So you're like, okay, maybe he's going to approach her. If the first time you watch the movie, you don't expect them to end up dancing. And if not for a whole 4 minutes or however long.
Right.
So I think the great thing about that scene is that every single moment within that scene breaks the audience expectations of what's coming next.
Right.
You know? Because it's just so unpredictable. Everything that happens there. Like the way, and then at the end, everyone hopes that she comes back for Charlie or something like that.
Right.
But she walks away and that's it. It's done. Right?
That's kind of goes back to the theme or the motif I was talking about at the end, is that people seem to come in and just go in this story. And that's it. There's this moment, and then we're on to we live for the next moment. And sometimes it's sad. It's a little bit bittersweet when she goes, and it's like, well, that was that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's time to live for this moment. And that's one of the, I think the messages of the story is to live in this moment.
Right.
And find what is meaningful in this moment.
Purpose.
And you know that dance took like 2 weeks to rehearse
Oh,
for those two guys, and like 3 days to shoot.
I'm not surprised he's doing it. Like how exactly did Arpino did it? Like he kind of
he
made his eyes blind by kind of like focusing them. And
no, he wouldn't focus on
he
anything.
wouldn't focus on anything.
He wouldn't focus on anything or look at anybody. And he would stay like behind the scenes. He would stay in character and not look at anybody or talk.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
What I love about this scene is that it's not so much the dance, although I love the dance because he's having so much fun and he has this resurgence of life in him. And we see him once again enjoying life through this. What I really love is the scene that leads up to the dance. When they're talking at the table.
Okay.
Where
Yes.
he's so incredibly charming. He's so incredibly likable. And he's just pouring it down. And he comes, and I noticed a little bit, he seems a little bit nervous too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit nervous. And once again, Pacino is just brilliant in this way where he creates so many different layers and so quickly.
Yeah.
And so many different thoughts and beats.
The actress that plays is her name Donna, the character.
The character's name is Donna, and Gabriella Anwar. I think that's how you say her name? Yeah.
She
Gabriella.
has such an incredible level of vulnerability in the scene. I've never seen her in another film, but I always remember this character. That's barely in the film,
Right.
really. But just, like she like a lot of the film, she does so much without saying anything. Like her reactions and like her shyness is just so.
Well, how those three characters are able to connect in such a short period of time and carry this story through that scene is remarkable. Yeah, really is.
I think it's a really magical scene.
Right. Well, okay. So we talked about the tango scene, and we talked a little bit about the plane scene. and the suicide scene. So let's talk about the courtroom scene or the hearing scene. It's not really a courtroom.
I was so glad you brought this up though, because when we were talking earlier that it's kind of a buddy film, it's also like a courtroom drama as well. It's so many different films in one.
It does kind of hit on a variety of different genres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like or at least that's it. Yeah. But like no, it's just this comedy. There's like romance. This is such a fun film.
You enjoy it's a heavy subject, and you enjoy yourself the entire time. That's why it juggles so many balls, and it does everything so well. So what is your favorite moment in the hearing scene? Well, what line stands out to you?
Well, even without knowing, or the first time I saw it, it's clear that he will show up.
Yes.
If you know filmmaking, that he's going to show up.
I don't know that. I agree with you 100%. Maybe I was just too young when I saw it. I didn't know. That was kind of a surprise. And I still get goosebumps every time he walks in.
Yeah, when he does, because it's great. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of clear. But what I do like is actually, again, I don't know why the last few weeks I've been spending a lot of time with like anticipation and what the audience expects and when you break it, when you deliver. And there's a moment where you actually think that he is going to say it.
I think he is.
And
I think when he...
I think the biggest expectation for the audience is it's all there. Everything goes into that direction. And you expect it to be also because Frank keeps pounding into his head. So you're like, be smart, man. You want him to say probably too, right?
Definitely.
I think Frank speaks up right at the exact moment that he should. Because when the dean says, I'm going to give you one more chance, it looks like Charlie is like getting up to say it.
I think so too.
And then, but he goes, he doesn't want it. And then he just goes into one of the best movie monologues of all time.
Yeah.
It's nice to have, I mean, because we're all very young, I see it. I think we all kind of see it from Charlie's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think any of us are looking at it from Colonel Slade's. It's nice to see somebody stand up for you so much. That's what I always take it. Like, where's my blind Al Pacino following me around, whipping me into shape?
Well, that monologue has so many good lines, but I think one of the most telling moments for both of those characters is when Frank goes, "Now I've come to the crossroads in my life. I always knew what the right path was. Without exception, I knew. But I never took it. You know why? It was too damn hard."
Yeah.
Now there's Charlie. Here comes to the crossroads. He has chosen his path. It's the right path. Path made of principle that leads to character. And that is, I think, the crux of that monologue.
Not the fuck you too.
Whatever.
Beautiful writing. It's great.
What Timmy, Johnny, wherever you are, fuck you too. Yeah, it's great, but that's the
Al Pacino's improved from the beginning.
Well, that's what
podcast.
In our styles class we had to create a celebrity character. I did Al Pacino. It was mostly just
from
Frank
Sense
Slade.
for a Woman.
Mostly, but if you watch interviews with him, he's so weird because he'll avoid the questions. He'll tie his scarf. Yeah, he's just crazy. But anyways, that quote is where they are in their lives and how Charlie has helped him be a better person and how he is currently making Charlie a better person. And that's, like I said, it's one of the best movie monologues of all time. And Al Pacino just delivers it in a way that nobody else could.
Yeah, I agree.
You spoke about it earlier. I'd love for more young people to watch this movie.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's such a great coming of age movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame. I don't know what about it is that I guess it's not really made for a young audience, is it? Necessarily.
I think that people nowadays think it's boring.
I think so.
There's not a lot of action.
I think it really is made for young adults. I think it's made for everybody, but I really think it has something special to say to young adults.
I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's I don't think it's at all able to.
Well, it's not marketing to 14. I think it's marketing to 16, 17-year-olds, maybe 15-year-olds.
No way.
There's a lot of cursing though.
Yeah, but what, you go see a rated R movie when you're 17?
I don't know.
I think it's 17.
Al Pacino movie. It's got to be cursing.
The message of the movie is more powerful than those words. You know what I'm saying? Or that.
Yeah. I have no issue. I'm European.
Right. But I do understand that theory. It's it's rough on the ears, but everything has a purpose in this movie, and it's not. I don't think it's grotesque in any way. So, real quick, one question before we go into trivia: is there anything that you think should have been cut or could be cut to make this 2.5-hour movie shorter? Because I know you're big on cutting it down to
the bones.
Yeah, which every good filmmaker should be, frankly.
I do think the Ferrari scene is a little long for my taste.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, I've seen it. He's blind. He's driving. Okay, like,
Yeah.
I had enough.
I agree.
The scene where the dean is talking to the two of them feels also a little milk to Hoffman and
Right.
I don't know, feels a little milk as well.
Did you say Hoffman?
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, sorry. Because I showed you earlier today, there was in Rotten Tomatoes, there was like a reviewer was like, this is just one of the greatest, like completely greatest performances, like playing this blind person by Dustin Hoffman. Absolutely Oscar
that's
worthy.
the Hoffman.
Yeah.
No,
So okay, I wasn't sure if maybe.
All right, whatever.
apologize.
We're gonna go. Let's go into trivia. Let's see who's gonna win this time, Ollie or Fabrizio.
We don't need to keep score.
No, we are gonna keep
I'm
score.
not so prepared.
All right, true or false? When Frank falls over the garbage can in the street when they're in New York,
True.
you don't even know the end of it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It was unplanned. True or false?
False.
Wait, it was unplanned?
When he falls over the garbage
You
can
already
in the
said
street.
true.
Now I'm confused.
Okay, you said it's true.
Does that mean they meant to do it?
Yes, they meant to do it. They didn't mean to do it. True or false? They didn't mean to. That wasn't in the
True,
script or plan.
true.
True. Okay. Yeah, that's right. It is true. It was improvised.
So I'll let you finish.
So wait, improvised or
Or just
I
kinda
got
happened.
confused by the question as well.
What's confusing? When Frank falls over the garbage can in the street, it was unplanned.
It was Al Pacino falling over.
But
Yeah.
that's the question. Did he plan to fall, or did he fall without knowing that he wanted to fall in that moment?
Maybe she didn't say. Maybe you shouldn't say the character. Is it like a character choice? Al Pacino.
Oliver gets the
Alright,
point
next
just out of
question.
being
This can't count.
obnoxious.
Yeah,
Alright,
I will.
no, it does count because
Yeah,
true or
count.
false? Harrison Ford and Joe Pesci were considered for the part of Frank Slade.
False.
True.
Jack Nicholson was.
True.
True. Harrison Ford. I remember that.
I thought Jack Nicholson was.
Maybe
He was.
Oh.
That was.
Wait, true or false? The first choice for the role was Dustin Hoffman. It's kind of funny.
True.
No.
No?
Oh,
No.
Fabi.
No, the first choice was Jack Nicholson.
Excuse me.
Oh, you don't get the point because I
False.
answered it. No, you don't get the point because I answered it. That's my point.
What?
House always wins. What other young star auditioned for the role of Charlie? He's in this movie you talk a lot about.
I know.
You've already mentioned it.
Because they were all a bunch of friends and they all auditioned for this. I read about
don't-
it.
There was a lot, but there's one I'm looking specifically
Matt
for.
Damon was in there. Affleck.
I know Affleck was.
Ethan Hawke.
Matt Damon for sure. Because Matt Damon, I think O'Donnell in an interview says that Matt Damon. Wait, was it Matt Damon?
Christian Slater.
Matt Damon went to his agent and has said, "Hey, what's going on? What's up? What are there any scripts?" He said, "Yeah, there's like this role." It's like, "Oh my God, with Al Pacino." And then he reached out to Chris O'Donnell and said, "Hey, do you have this script?" And Chris O'Donnell goes, "Yeah," but they didn't want to share it. Something like that. That story.
I don't know if it was Matt Damon. I'm not quite sure on that. I think you're right, but that's not who I'm thinking of. There was another he's a really big star now, and it was the next year he would break out in a movie with Johnny Depp, and it was a couple years later.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Wait, Kevin Hart as well, though, wasn't it?
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart?
Yeah.
Did-
You should do better research.
I got the point.
Okay.
Oh,
You
yeah.
did.
Oh, you turned to him. Sorry, you turned to him.
Kevin Hart?
Kevin Hart.
The comedian?
I
I have never heard that.
Okay.
think I've
Can our in-house
Soul Plane.
producer fact check that for us? Before we go on to the next question.
I'm surprised with DiCaprio. When did this film come out?
92. It was 93. What's Eating Gilbert Grape came out.
He's so young.
Must have been
Mhm.
14 or so.
Yeah.
I,
He auditioned
wow.
for it. but I guess he'd probably too young.
I guess it would.
I also don't think it's supposed to be college. I think it's supposed to be
It's prep school.
Prep
school. Yeah.
True or false? All of the school scenes were shot in an all-female boarding school.
True.
That's yeah.
Well, he got it before you. Man, you were losing on this.
Sorry,
Al Pacino was nominated in what other Oscar category this year, and for what film?
This year?
No, in the year of this film.
In 92?
Yeah.
92. Oh, Godfather Part 3?
Nope.
That was earlier.
No, actually, it's later.
Serbia?
That's the 70s.
And I think our fact checker.
Oh, I'd love to. Wait.
Yeah, I can't find anything about that.
I don't know where you
I'll
fell.
find it.
We'll find that. We'll post that in the
It's
comments.
not Godfather Part 3? That's
No, it's
so
not Godfather
close.
Part
That's
3.
so close to the same
Wait, are
time.
you sure you're talking about Kevin Hart?
The
Or who else?
That's very far behind.
Kevin Hart, he was not even like anywhere in the scene.
comedian, stand-up
The
guy.
short black comedian who comes.
I know who Kevin Hart. I'm pretty sure it was Kevin Hart.
All right. Well, we'll post it in the comments on how wrong Fab was.
What was that? Yeah, what?
Does anybody get
No.
the film?
From 92? Oh, Donnie Brasco?
Nope. It was also a play. I'll give you that. One of my favorite plays.
Oh! Oh my goodness. Glenn Ross.
Yes. It
Great
was
film.
Also nominated. It is
It's
a good film.
92?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was earlier.
Do you know who he lost to? In the supporting category? 92. Big film.
Tommy Lee Jones?
Denzel Washington?
No, but he was also nominated for Best Actor.
Malcolm X, yeah.
Malcolm X.
In 92?
One of the great westerns of all time.
Oh, I don't know the name of the actor.
It was Gene Hackman in Unforgiven.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was the really old guy. The guy that did like press ups during the Oscars. He did that for
Oh,
Western in the 90s.
I can't remember who it was.
Anyway.
Okay, so last question.
Jasmine Haber destroyed me last week,
yeah.
so this is like my revenge. I'm sorry I'm taking it out on you.
How did the famous hoo-ha come about?
Go ahead, buddy.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Really?
Maybe he had like a cough and he just...
No, it's an army saying.
Oh. It's an army saying.
Okay, so the armed forces consultant who was on set to teach Al Pacino how to disassemble a 45.
Yeah.
Well, our fact checker?
I think you might be mistaking him with Chris Rock,
Oh,
the other black comedian.
thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
That's just a bad image for
Do
you.
we have to go back? For that?
We're going to continue.
Shit.
So,
Should we take it
But
back?
hey, you were making fun. He's a comedian, right?
yeah, no.
It was just a completely different
That
time.
made Chris Rock make sense. It does make sense.
First time I saw Kevin Hart in a film was 2001.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, moving on. So, hoo-ha came about because the armed forces consultant on set was teaching him how to disassemble a 45 with his eyes closed. And Pacino was having some difficulty doing that, as anyone might. And anytime Pacino would get it right, the army consultant would go, hoo-ha! So Pacino just incorporated it into...
That's brilliant.
When you
take it from something real.
Right, and it means like... I think it means like anything but no, or it's just like an excitable expression.
Nice.
So, but yeah, anything else you want to say about this movie?
Can I have a mint?
That's gonna be like your fourth mint, Fabrizio.
Oh my god, no. Okay, all right, you done?
Nice.
The audience can't see this
I want
happen.
to show my
Yes, they can.
I want to show my generosity on camera.
They can't.
Sir, you're out of order. Out of order? I show you out of order.
All right, well that's all the time we have for this week. Make sure to tune in next week. I'm so done with you, and hoo-ha!
Straight from the heart, like at the movie, till the screen goes dark.